Oh, you guys. Are we at the very end of this series? I can't believe it. Not gonna lie, it feels great talking to you from this room instead of that echoey nastiness that we had before. But before we kind of get too comfortable in here, I think we gotta move on. Because really, no matter how beautiful it looks or how amazing it sounds, work, unfortunately, is not gonna get done by itself. So we gotta get some gear in here. So my current setup is okay. The desk, unfortunately, is not in the best of shapes. So we're gonna get started with a brand new desk. Right there, I found just a perfect fit for this room. Additionally, we're gonna install those LED strips all across here in these slots, up and down, and also like behind these Vic totems, and also around the desk itself. But before we do that, we gotta assemble the desk first. Also, these French doors and all the glass surfaces are gonna get covered up with like a really nice kind of heavy curtain, like sound absorbing curtain. Also, finally, we're gonna take this off. I mean, just ugh. My Elisa's drum set is gonna be set up right around here, I wanna say, in that area. I'm not quite sure. We might go with that bit over there as it was before, but we'll see. But regardless, I gotta figure out the cabling, because the drum station is gonna have its own kind of little like monitor and keyboard, mouse, all that. So we're gonna finally get under the floor and figure all of that out. But yeah, once we're done with all of that, we will be all done with this stage, just ready to, you know, churn that new Alek Darson solo record out. So, wish me luck, wish me luck. Here we go. Nice and snazzy. If I took it apart, I should be able to put it back together. If you start spraying, you kind of have to spray the whole room to keep the wet edge on. So this is what it's gonna look like finished. Okay, so first things first, we gotta, that's just red, isn't it? So the desk situation. My current desk is not in the best of shapes from its journey to the current space it's in. Plus I felt over the years, you know, I kind of kept the same desk. I did kind of beef it up aesthetically a little bit here and there, but I definitely felt like I was growing out of it. And also this new room, it kind of warrants like a nice big desk, right? So during my search for the perfect studio desk for me, I actually came across this company called Studio Desk. They're actually from Slovenia, which kind of hits home for me personally. As many of you know, I'm from Serbia originally. So I actually hooked up with them and they sent out this beautiful Proline Classic for me, which is here. It's been here for a while now. It's been patiently waiting for me to finish the rest of the studio. So now it's finally time for me to get all of these boxes out of here and up in that room where they belong. They actually come in this like insane pallet thing. Although it's definitely great for shipping, I needed to disassemble it and get all the boxes kind of individually out into my home. Well, hell yeah! But let's go ahead and assemble this Studio Desk by Studio Desk. I know it's a small part, but just the finish is like ridiculously nice. Look at that. It's beautiful. Okay, so that's one. Put this aside for now. Inner leg. Okay. I'm not sure if that comes across on camera, but that finish is something else, man. High gloss like this is really hard to achieve, let alone ship and make sure it gets on the other side of the world safely. Just absolutely beautiful work. These dowels are like super, super nice. Look at that. Next they have these feet that can kind of pivot. see it comes with 2 sets of these smaller shelves, and one is just a straight square, and the other has this kind of like a beveled edge, and I think that's the one that was supposed to go on top. But that's what it seems like anyway. Also for these like padded surfaces, you'll see there is no perforation in the leather for the dowels to go in. There is an actual hole in the wood, but once they put the leather on there, they didn't perforate it further. So just be mindful of that when installing. There's also this kind of notch. They seem to be asymmetrical, so you want this notch to be turned towards the middle of the desk. Also, when fastening all these L brackets, it seems to be a good idea to first place all the screws and have them finger tight before you actually screw them in properly. So this is what half of one side looks like before the other half goes on. It looks like it's supposed to go in like this. Kind of tricky to do by yourself. Anna's not here, but I think we'll manage. There we go. It's best to do this now. I'm gonna handle it kind of unfastened. I don't want it to fall apart on me. It's only a couple screws anyway. Time to lift this one up. Whoa. Looks amazing. Sweet. Man, that's gorgeous. Let's do that one more time. Now we have to fill these up, make the desk whole. Speaking of holes, what's the name of that phobia that people have? The phobia of holes?
Trypophobia.
Yeah, that one. Pretty sure I was supposed to do this part earlier, but hey, it's fine this way as well. Just make sure you use a rubber mallet and you'll be fine. I think these newer shipments don't have this hole here. I'm not sure why, but it's not too big of a deal. Just find it with your finger and just kind of force your way in there. Might be actually better. Also, apparently a super important step, which I of course forgot, is to get these L brackets in place here, 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 and here, I think, because the way it's constructed, the top board basically butts against itself, like right here. So if you don't put these L brackets, there's not a whole lot holding it up. Better safe than sorry, I guess. And I think it's 3 L brackets per side for the main board, and then 1 for these smaller shelves. This finish is absolutely amazing. It's like a piano finish, like seriously. Not really super crazy about the high gloss, but you know what? If it's there, it better be good. And this one is like really good. And there's really no graceful way to do this, unfortunately. This middle section, you just kind of fiddle around with it until it falls into place, basically, and try not to drop anything. Obviously, I'm doing this by myself, so it's definitely doable. These brackets actually help a lot. So I first screwed into the top and then to the sides to make it come together. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. It might be the 4th option, kind of like an extra low option for this shelf. I'm not exactly sure on that. So now, just for a little bit that they don't tell you in the video manual, this big shelf right here should be reinforced with this. And there's 7 holes already in place for holding that. And in the hardware kit, there is 7 of these washers. So my only logic is that we should put those there, because there's nothing else that has, 7 screws holding it up. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna bet that that's what they thought. Here are the sides, it doesn't flop around on me. And fill in the gaps. Stuff is good for your abs. I'm getting a workout here. Looks pretty stupid, if you ask me.
What do you mean, stupid?
I meant that in a good way.
This is the optional pull-out keyboard shelf. No instructions on how to install this one. I'm sure we can figure it out. 2 screws there, 2 screws to the main board. Easy enough. And again, try not to tighten these before you have all the screws in place. Done and done. Now it's all about installing this rest of the hardware, some rack mounts and whatnot. It's all pretty straightforward. It's a couple of brackets, a couple of screws. I would say secure the bottom first so it doesn't swing on you. It's a beautiful finish in these actually. It's really well built, the whole thing. These cage nuts are kind of self-explanatory really. They go in the back of these rack mounts. Looks like you get 16 of them with a regular purchase, although I think you can order some extra. Man, that desk is such a nice thing to wake up to. I wish I could assemble the whole thing and just start working right off the bat. But I do want to make sure all the cabling is nice and tucked away out of sight, kind of under the floor and everything. So to know exactly what I'm dealing with, I'm gonna take a little break from the desk and actually start assembling the whole LED kind of array. It's gonna be a bunch of them. I ordered some from AliExpress. It's my first ever experience with AliExpress, and it was kind of okay actually. The shipping kind of took forever, but you know, that was kind of to be expected. So as we discussed before, we're gonna have 2 little strips here and here as well. So I'm gonna do sort of like a dry assembly, make sure the controller is good, make sure the power supply is good, make sure all the cabling is the correct length, and then I'm gonna start installing the actual strips. It's gonna be so nice. I literally cannot wait, but you know, slow and steady wins the race. Better that you do everything properly so that you don't have to do the job twice. They come in 2 meter segments. Since we're just under 2 meter, I'm gonna have to cut them regardless. So you can definitely get longer strips as well, but this was just what I needed. It's pretty good actually. You can do whatever you want with it. I think it's also waterproof. Not that I'll be testing that. Massive shout out to Quindor from Intermittent Tech. This is great stuff. Got the power supply going, so that's great. To ground, neutral, hot, or lead, whatever you want to call it. It's marked on here as well. Now we're gonna have 2 wires going from that power supply to the controller. It's gonna be a simple positive and negative, and this is your DC current. I'm calling red the positive and black, or red and black, whatever, the negative. Boom, there it is. Positive DC from the power supply goes to the positive input on the controller. Negative, on the other hand, goes to the ground. So that should take care of our controller and the power supply. It's actually the controller that is gonna be putting out all the power. So from the controller output, we're gonna need 3 wires, 2 of which are gonna be voltage, and 1 of which is gonna be data. This thing here is the actual chip and the Wi-Fi antenna. So this is what actually controls the whole circuit, and this is just the, you know, power management, you know, capacitors and the routing and stuff. Now I am gonna do this better. Just wanna test if it works. The moment of truth. Let's see if it lights up. There we go. We just gotta make it work with the WLED app, and we should be all good. Very cool. Love it. All right. Okay, I think I finally got them all to work. So we have two kind of long strips going right across the room, and then four of these kind of independent strips in that metal profile that I'm gonna attach to the corner. I do have to do some additional wiring because there's some power injection needed because it's kind of behaving like kind of strange when the effects are super bright. I like grossly underestimated how much wire I need in total, so I ordered some more. We're gonna take care of that tomorrow, and then we're gonna run all of that through the frickin' floor. I can't wait for that step. That's really where the whole project is gonna start making sense, right? Because I have to run all the cables together with all the audio gear and whatnot. So yeah, it's coming together super nice actually. I'm kind of happy about this. It's gonna be great. Man, this room became just about any kind of shop you can imagine by now. From a job site to a full-on carpentry to paint booth, now electronics. Anyway, I'm done with the LEDs at this point, at least installing them. So it's not looking bad. The glue still needs to set, but overall, I'm pretty happy. This is the last one that I did, so at that point, I think I kind of figured out what I was doing. I also got these in the corners. I glued them in. Still need to get some of the glue residue out, but not too worried about that at this point. Now I have to figure out exactly how I'm gonna cable all of this stuff. I gotta break out my drum set and see exactly where I'm gonna position it. It's kind of like an awkward place to put a drum set. The good thing is that it's electronic, so it doesn't take too much space. So I need to be able to swing that door all the way. You gotta be able to walk around here. So it leaves not a whole lot of room for the drum set. So you see my dilemma, but let me break out my drum rug and see how it's all gonna work out together. That is pretty good. I tried it in the other corner. It kind of makes the whole room smaller. Plus, I mean, here is absolutely fine. You can get the whole functionality of the door. Hopefully, there we go. So that means that we're gonna drill a hole right over there. We're drilling that one, the one all the back in the nook here for the computer, and also one right in the back of our new desk. Oh, and before I forget, one more thing. So before we move on any further with, you know, the cabling and the LEDs, I want to take care of something else. Not sure if you could hear that. There's kind of a bad flutter echo between this French door and those two doors over there. It's kind of bad. When you stand right next to the door and you talk, you can kind of hear it. Ha! What? Yeah, it's kind of bad. So to take care of that, we're gonna install a set of like super heavy curtains, which are gonna go all across these doors here and both these super ugly windows, because that's about everything that is left from the old room look. That's annoying as all hell. Yeah, looking forward to getting rid of that. It was quite an ordeal to make this happen because, of course, we needed everything custom, and yeah, of course, the fabric itself is super difficult to find, and UV liner in the back. We barely found one company that was willing to do it for like a reasonable price. So we're headed over to Fabric to pick them up. Hello. How are you? Good. How are you doing? Good to see you again. All right. So, they installed well, it seems. Good. Great. Good stuff. The liner looks great on the back. Look at the thickness of that. No wonder nobody wanted to make this. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yes. This is gonna be so freaking awesome. Before we even get to hanging these, I have to remove these blinds. I mean, it's so silly. I'm gonna enjoy taking those off. Too much dust. Ah. Pretty sure there is some drywall dust in here. $400 on eBay if someone wants it. This is the big one that's gonna go over there. I think these are exact, so I don't think we're gonna need to cut them. I just have to kind of put those ends. A couple of these. I'm thinking like probably right around here. Do you think that makes sense? Something like that. Should hold it. Nice. Look at that. It's like some brushed steel finish, I suppose. Very nice. What kind of a guitar player would I be without some hex keys? There we go. Then we have the other half. Okay. Kind of sort of like that. We're going to jump over this to do that. That's it. Nice. Here, because it's a much longer distance, we're going to have 4 support points. That's one. Now we're going to put one more all the way over there on the other end. Then we're going to divide that by 3, and that's where the other 2 are going to go. If that makes any sense.
Nope.
Sorry, big guy. We're going to have to move you a little bit. Now we measure from the center of this hole, or this screw, to the center of that screw, and divide that by 3. So that's 124 3/4. So maybe you guys in the comments can tell me how much that is divided by 3. 124. So that's 120. 124. The 4 is the tricky thing. So divided by 3, 120. Divided by 3 is 40. Then this is not going to go onto the video, by the way. So 40. Then 4 divided by 3. So
133.
1 and 1/3, or 1 and let's say 1/4. Plus 3/4 divided by 3, that's 1/4. So we have 1/4 over here. So that's 40
and a half.
Is it? It's 1 and 1/4. So it's 41 and a half. Right? So we have 120 divided by 3, that's 40. Okay, 40. 4 divided by 3 is 1 and 1/4. Or ish, right? Like let's say.
Yeah, so 41 and a half.
So 41. And that additional quarter is going to be 41 and a half. Okay, great. 41. It's going to be 1.25 from the top. That's right here. One more. I'm not going to drill this yet. It should be equally distant from each of these. Yep, that's exactly right, actually. 41 and a half. Ish. As long as we're exact. Okay. Now I have to cut that rod, the pipe, the rod, whatever you call it. And I'm going to hang the last bit of curtain. There we go. A little heavy. Now we got to see how I'm going to lift this thing. Hell yeah. Do you hear that? Yes. Perfect. Excellent. Just like a theater curtain, that's it. And the flutter, totally gone. Zero flutter. I suppose the acoustic guys were counting on that, because I don't think we were just quite finished when we put up all the acoustic products. So this is just spot on, spot on. Super happy with this. This needs to settle down a little bit, get these wrinkles out. I'm probably gonna get them a little wet with some like mist. Sound performance is absolutely terrific. Totally worth the wait. All right, on to cabling. So in order to quickly get these holes out of the way, I bought this hole saw set. And it's pretty much good for any hole that you can imagine. And so this is what we're gonna be putting over those holes. I'm not even sure what the name of this is. Some sort of like a cable management receptacle or something like that. I don't even know. But yeah, so I bought a couple of these bigger ones for where the desk is gonna be and the computer. I also bought one of these smaller ones for the drum station. The manufacturers are so nice that they included these templates here. So we're gonna start off with something like fairly big. This is probably the biggest one in the entire set. And then I can just get the corners with something else like manually. Honestly, maybe with just like a regular, maybe with a drywall knife, maybe I'll do that. So it's like spring loaded. Make sure it's nice and tight. I think that should do it. Around there. All right, here we go. Ooh. Slower. I think that's part of our floor right there. Need a better marker. Production! It's like a big Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse with really big ears. That's our floor sandwich. Or cookie sandwich. Just remember that we actually have this beaver thing, so that might be a little quicker. Return of the beaver. Nice. All right, 2 more. All right, well, that's been an interesting couple of days. Everything is done though, like all the LED strips, all the injection points, all the wiring, tucked away, out of sight, looks great, works even better. Let me show you. Oh, look, a switch, huh? Nice. This one in the meanwhile actually became a smart switch. I programmed it actually so that it turns on the smart plug that I installed over in the little nook there. Every time that it turns on, the LED lights pop on as well. So it's pretty cool. I'm still gonna play with some programming, but I'm happy with it, I could say. Let me turn down the lights a little bit so you can see the corners. Those are more for just ambience, really. These shooting ones are kind of the main event here. Lovely. See here, because there is way less light, this is much more apparent. The CPU nook turned out great. Not exactly like flawless or anything, but you know, considering that nobody's ever gonna see it, it's absolutely fine. But yeah, looks great, super happy with it. Definitely took a while to get kind of used to the way the software works, the controller, you know, getting all the wiring and everything. Wiring was the worst, the injection points, that got me 100%. I need to go to bed, so tomorrow, first thing in the morning, I'm going to continue on with the desk. I first need to take care of all the LED lighting, so I'm probably going to follow this line here, and then on the other side as well, probably here, maybe here as well, just to kind of give it that bounce off the back wall. But that's all tomorrow. I mean, I can't wait, man. I want to move in here so bad, but I just have to wait. That's just the order of operations that we need to do things in. So it does matter. Okay, so I just did all the cable management, tucked everything away nice and neat, and hopefully everything works still. So this is one final test, otherwise I think we're done. We can move on to the rest, but here's hoping. Nice. It all works. Beautiful. So this is the controller. It's the same ditch quad that I used for the wall LEDs by Intermittent Tech. I believe they're from Belgium, and this is about a half strength PSU. It's only a 30 amp, but that's more than enough. The cable management is a bit of a nightmare. These intersections are kind of tricky. You really don't need too much as far as the tools go. You need a heat gun, a soldering iron, or a nice fresh tip. I actually had to buy a new one because my old one now looks like that. I bought some of these metal files for the aluminum channeling. Nice wire strippers. What else? I got this rope cutter. That's for the Tech Flex, cable management, wrap, whatever you want to call it. And most of this stuff is actually just glued to the desk with some simple double-sided tape. I actually got a super strong one. Oh, yeah, gross. Super strong one from 3M. I think this is for like car molding, but anything works really. And I actually use the same channeling that I put here to hold my controller board on the back here as well. So that's all double-sided tape. It's basically super simple, but it's all pretty secure. It's not going anywhere. And most importantly, coffee. That looks exactly the same like it did like 20 hours of work later. It's the same desk. Now that positively, absolutely, totally has to be the worst spot for a coffee cup. Let's take that off. Now, being as it may that I'm itching all over to get all the gear in and like start working in this beautiful, beautiful space, I actually need to take care of something which I've been kind of neglecting, I think. I think it was in the back of my mind, but I just never really thought that it was that important, which is, not sure if you noticed, but like that bit over there. In the previous configuration that this room was in, which was kind of like a transitory space between, you know, the outside patio to the restroom to the rest of the house, it kind of makes sense as it is right now with the curtains, and it's very much like an isolated space for itself. It's super random. It doesn't stand. I personally hate it. I would never do that. So I'm just gonna take the afternoon and take care of it, make it all nice and whole without this like pebble nonsense. I'll make all of this kind of go all the way towards the wall, and I'm gonna make a transition right to that line where it meets the restroom. So the restroom is gonna stay the same, so not that crazy. It's one of those things, like I didn't even notice it by now, but now that I like made it conscious in my mind, oh look, okay, this doesn't make any sense. I just hate it with a passion. It's gonna be a super quick job anyway. Just gotta rip all the old stuff out, clean it up a little bit, get some glue going, cut up the pieces, lay them all together, and make sure they're all even with like a nice heavy duty roller, which I rented, and it's basically gonna be done. Okay, that came out a little harder than I thought it would. Looks like we have a problem. I'm like half glad, half not that I did this, because there seems to be some water seeping in, or it used to. This was all kind of rotten. See, looks like we got some water coming through. Well, should I say it? I'm not gonna say it. Otherwise, it came out pretty okay. As long as you kind of heat it up with the heat gun. It's relatively easy. I was hoping for a little easier, but it wasn't too bad. And really the good part is that there is nothing structural about this repair. Like this 1/4-inch plywood, it only provides a super smooth surface for the vinyl to go onto. So I just laid all of these on there to see if I have enough because we had some stock and we're almost there. Oh well, trip to Hamilton it is, I guess. Okay, we're not looking that bad. Let's cut a deal, you and I, right now. We're gonna pretend that this totally did not take, well, 3 times the amount of time that I thought it was gonna. Especially because I was continuing the existing work. It's super difficult. I mean, it's not terrible. In some places, you can definitely tell. So for example, here, there's definitely a nice, you know, kind of like a step, like a transition. Nasty business, but it's basically done. I just need to wrap up with this goof off thing. It's some sort of like an adhesive remover. Works pretty well. I'm out of goof off, so I'm gonna go to bed, wake up, go get some more, finish this off, and then we're finally gonna start moving in some gear. So that's gonna be nice. See you in the morning. Well, that was an exercise in patience, this project. Well, now that's all done. We can move on with the rest. Definitely not 100% happy with how it turned out, but it's kind of okay, especially if you squint. But one thing's for sure, there's absolutely no time to start fiddling with it one more time. I'm kind of over it, but I think it definitely looks about 60 times better than it used to. So that's I'm gonna be happy with that. Now, it's finally time. After a whole year of this whole shebang, like, we're gonna actually assemble the studio, move all my gear in, and I can start working in this room. I can't wait, honestly. Like, I'm so excited to get going, but I'm also kind of like, hesitant. Like, I'm not ready for this. Like, basically, it's all about assembling now. We're gonna start off with the desk. I'm gonna kind of build it from the top down. I'm gonna start off with the big Samsung monitor. I bought a nice new kind of arm for it, which is super strong, so it's gonna be great, nice and seamless. Then the 2 audio monitors, the Yamahas. Then we're gonna fill up the 2 racks there and there, and get all the controllers, all the C-boards, keyboards, all that stuff. And then we're gonna move Beast in finally in his little den here, which is gonna be super sweet. It's just, I think he's gonna have a great time in there. And then we're gonna get my Elise's set, the drums, then get all the cabling kind of nice and tidy. I'll try and do a better job than last time, I promise. Get a couple of guitar stations going there and there, most probably. I'm not 100% sure, maybe even over there, we'll see. Then that's gonna be it. That's gonna conclude this series. Like, oh my God, like I can't even believe that we're here. I swear. Like, I'm like so excited to get done with it, but I'm also like in disbelief that, like, oh my God, like, are we actually gonna leave this, like, and conclude the project, and I'm actually gonna start working in this room. It's amazing. I mean, it sounds beautiful. No flutter anymore. It just sounds stellar. Sounds like a proper studio. That's how it sounds. But that being said, let's get on with it and move all this gear and make it a proper studio. It's a nice setup. I think I'm gonna miss this, but yeah. About the last of it. Here comes the moment of truth. Okay, that's a good sign. See if we get the beep. Nice. Yeah. Nice, dude. It looks so amazing on this desk. Look at that. Wow. Just don't mind all the cabling in the back. But yeah, oof. That is nice right there. Loving that. Still got to play around a little bit with the layout. I think I'm okay with it, but I kind of have to see how it is when I actually use it and stuff. But yeah, looking great so far. But yeah, I did get all of this stuff to work, and it's getting kind of late. I think I have to kind of pack it up and call it a day, but I just can't. I have to hear something through these speakers. Might as well get some Dream Theater going and keep with the tradition. I love Dream Theater, in case you didn't know. Not gonna crank it too much, but okay. I also haven't heard this single yet. Super happy. It's nice and dry. There's no like reverb or anything. I am hearing some issues with some comb effects and whatnot. Might be these speakers and just the whole system, but we're definitely gonna fix that. Yes, super nice. Super, super nice. No further words, really. Looking pretty good so far. Now we need to take care of all of this nonsense in the back. Okay, we're in drastically better shape than when we started, I would say. Still need to tidy up a couple of spots, but that USB hub there was way more trouble than I ever anticipated. But I somehow managed to sneak it in there. That's the power supply for it. Had to move this guy a little bit, but I actually think I preferred this spot. But yeah, overall, not bad at all. Somehow each of these steps ends up being way, way longer. Everything that you anticipate, just double the time, and that's basically gonna give you the actual time needed. You might as well invest a little extra time and effort to actually make it right the first time. So this is not the prettiest sight in the world, but I think it's gonna have to do for now. I kind of ran out of this sleeve, so I think I might have to revisit this at some point in the future. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And these cable holes for the floor actually turned out super nice. I'm quite happy with them. Okay, well, time to clean this stuff up. Man, is that looking like absolutely gorgeous? Is it just me or it's looking like gorgeous? I don't know. Maybe, is it gorgeous? I think it's gorgeous. There's obviously something missing, and that's my beautiful and numerous girls, aka guitars. Man, I have a lot of guitars, especially when you buy those K&M guitar stands. They're kind of let's just say the guitar real estate is not exactly cheap around here. All jokes aside though, I just did a review video for that. You guys have probably seen it, but if you haven't, go check it out. You'll see the whole unboxing process and kind of like my in-depth impressions about the whole thing. But yeah, let's bring those in. Okay, wow. I mean, that turned out even better than I thought it would. And I thought it would turn out pretty good. Super happy. Looks amazing. Well, my friends, this brings us to the very end of this series, at least for now. I can't wait to relax a little bit and start working in this setup. It's absolutely stunning to see this done. I mean, it's like, looks surreal. The Studio Desk Pro line is absolutely fantastic. I love how it turned out. I think it complements the acoustic design just beautifully. They're almost like made for each other. The quality is also quite ridiculous. The rack spaces, although they're relatively full, we have quite a bit of space yet underneath if need be in the future. And there actually might be some expansion happening kind of soon because I need to figure out these speakers in the ceiling because that's a 5.1 system waiting to happen. But that's, you know, like it has absolutely nothing to do with the current functionality of the space. So we'll leave that for a future video. Plus it'll make for a nice epilogue. I wish this 88 keyboard fit on the desk, or I thought honestly it was going to fit in that keyboard tray, but it kind of works out better as it is as a dual keyboard setup anyway, so it's really not a huge trade-off. I did make a little alteration to the placement of that L profile. I ended up moving it to that main surface right there so I could have something to tie this like cable snake to, but that made this top shelf start to bow because there was no support. So I actually ended up making my own out of some C channel that I found at some metal store, metal shop, whatever. I think it was a 1/4 inch C channel, so it's pretty thick. It's nice and sturdy. I just cut it to size, you know, drilled some holes, pretty simple, primed it, painted it, and installed it, and the problem is solved perfectly, I think. It's actually nicer. I think it looks better. Cabling is like super nice. I also brought this foot controller in. Works out great. Left a little bit of that cable so I can move it around if need be. These LEDs in the back also turn out great. It's nice and discreet. It's just kind of like a beautiful splash on the back. Nothing is screaming at you. I can make them brighter as well, but I think this is kind of what the room needs at the moment. The whole LED setup really turned out super nice. I mean, I played around with some more programming for these, and this is kind of what I landed on. The nice thing is that they're individually addressable, so I can kind of make whichever pattern I really want. But I found this to be kind of non-invasive. I had some way more aggressive ones that when you sit down, it just like looks like someone is like raping your eyes from the side. It wasn't great. I also swapped out this keyboard. I think it works much better with the theme. Just it's all white and it's kind of vintage. Plus, I think I prefer the longer travel, right? I'm also trying out this trackball, keeping both the mouse and the trackball just for the time being. We'll see how that one goes. The Herman Miller chair is, well, it's a Herman Miller, so it's amazing. It's hard to put into words, really, but hey, listen, if you're sitting down all day, you absolutely need a good chair. I had an okay chair to begin with. I had that IKEA chair. It was kind of old, flaky, and whatever, but it was comfy. You know, it's okay. And then when I tried this, it's night and day. I mean, I spend 10 plus hours sitting down every single day, and it kind of accumulates, it stacks in your body. So I was like, if I'm sitting down that much time, I better get a proper chair and do the best I can for my body. So that's why I got that. The drums turned out fantastic. I love these. I expanded on my original setup drastically. And there's going to be a video coming out for that, I think, because it's way too complicated to cover in this video. But minimal wireage everywhere, just the way I like it. Nice and neat. Like I said, the functionality drastically expanded. I'm pretty sure I squeezed the most that I could out of this Alesis Crimson 2 module. But yeah, it's kind of like a mid-grade drum brain. But my favorite thing probably is this little keyboard / mixer tray, whatever this is. It's nice and integrated into the whole rack with Gibraltar clamp. Same goes for the monitor. It's just an all-around, like, well-executed system. I love this. I also have this Headrush FRFR 112, I believe. Headrush was kind enough to send me one of those, so thanks, Headrush. It sounds great. I might actually end up putting one over there just so I have like a good stereo image when I play, but we'll see about that. Some of you out there with your laser vision maybe remember that all of these were like a high gloss red, but as you can see, they're now in this kind of like matte white, which I think just goes beautifully with the entire theme. And that was a relatively easy transformation, but we're gonna save that for another video. But like, check it out. I mean, how good does that look? Like, no wires? How good is it that the wires are going under the floor? Like, imagine if it was like, or I had to go like around. That would have sucked. It's just the whole floor setup. I'm kind of like in love with that. I kind of lucked out. So all the cables are routed from that guy going down to our snake and then into our little hole in the floor there and into our CPU nook. And the CPU is basically just like a little hub for all of this gear to kind of meet and come together. I think I kind of lucked out a little bit there, the way the Dar stage floor is all open and everything. So that was relatively easy. A bunch of you guys asked if I had measurements of before and after, so we can see what the acoustic treatment did to the room. And well, the answer is kinda. So I measured the frequency response of my system in the sweet spot before and after the whole treatment. So the system itself changed a little bit. So it's a new desk. There's no more like stands for the monitors. Now they're on the sides and everything. But unfortunately, the software that I used did not include the reverberation time in that measurement. It's like a system thing from SonarWorks. It's called Reference ID. It's fantastic. I absolutely think it should come with any pair of monitors that you buy. So I did that for this system as well. And you can see the results here. We basically lost a little bit of the low end, which makes sense because we install all these bass traps and everything. But it did not necessarily cause the whole room to get turned on its head or anything, right? Just kind of tamed it down a little bit, which is perfect. That's what we wanted. But more importantly, I think, which it doesn't show in numbers, and I guess I'm sorry about that. I didn't think ahead. I just kind of dove into the whole project. Now, there is the tiniest bit of ambience left still, but that's by design, and it is a relatively big room, so it would be extremely hard to just make this like a completely dead room. Not necessarily what I would want either. I think it's perfect, personally, from what I listened to the system a little bit. But it's beautiful to just be in. It sounds it's kind of creamy almost when you listen to anything. There's no interference from the sides. The stereo field is definitely better. I could tell that like instantly, like when I sat down for the first time. Unfortunately, again, you can't see that in numbers, but I'm sure you can tell from just me talking into the camera, like how much of a difference it made. I mean, if you compare it to the first episode, it's like night and day, right? Like reverb now is basically like non-existent. Now, another thing that I wish I had was the measurement of the loudness of my setup outside of the room, in Ivana's office, in the kitchen, and the rest of the house before and after, because I think that's probably where we did the most. The doors are working out like fantastic. We filled up all these walls with rock wool. You've seen that. And it's just, for me, I know personally, it's much more easy to kind of focus when I'm in this room to work. We'll see, of course, once we get into the daily routine of it a little bit, but I can already tell it's much more of a space for itself, which was definitely not the case. It was basically like an open space, right? Like where you could just walk in. Plus, I mean, Ivana seems to be pretty happy right now in her office, even when I'm raising hell next door. But I'm pretty sure she can focus a little better in her writing and her work. So that's great. I think that's pretty much mission accomplished in that department. But yeah, other than that, there's not a whole lot more to report. We're done. Fantastic. Super happy. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed making this entire series for you guys. Let me tell you, like some of these, especially like more meticulous tasks, it was definitely much more enjoyable for me knowing that I'm filming the episodes. It's almost like having friends over and kind of chilling while you do the work. It's great. So thank you for being there. You made definitely the entire experience way more enjoyable for me. Hopefully it was for you as well. Now it's really all about like seeing what kind of content I can make here. Because I do need to get my solo record out, like I've said multiple times, and we're going to make that happen this year. And what other content I have to see? Like, how about this? You should comment. Oh, hey, honey, is that for me? Oh, it's got sugar in. I think I deserve that. I'm pretty sure I deserve that. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao.